Hello friends, in the series on the income tax cases, today we will discuss a very important case on the service of notice of Honorable Bombay High Court. The title of the case is Lok Developers versus Deputy Commissioner of Income Tax, and this case has been reported in 455 ITR at page number 399. The date of the judgment is 15th Feb 2023. And this is the outcome of a writ petition filed by the Assessee against the order passed under section 147 read with section 144, that is best judgment assessment in case of income escaping assessment. In this case, the Assessee was issued notice under section 148 for the assessment year 2015-16, 16-17 and 17-18. And due to the non-cooperation of the assessee into the income tax proceedings, the department did the best judgment assessment under section 144. The reason for doing best judgment assessment was that it was the plea of the department that the assessee has not cooperated into the income tax proceedings. That is why the department was bound to pass the order under section 144. But it was the point of the assessee that I have not received the notices because the notices has not been sent by the department on my primary email ID. As all we know that for the issuing of the notice, for the service of the notice, there are section 282 which says about service of notice generally, and section 282A which talks about authentication of notices and other documents, and rule 127 and rule 127A. These sections and rules are very important if we want to really understand that how the department has to proceed with the issuing of the notices and treating it as valid service of notice. Rule 127 subrule 2 subrule A talks about that any notice, summon, requisition, order or any other communication should be sent to the assessee in the email IDs in a hierarchy which is given in rule 127 subrule 2 subrule A. The first email ID should be of that assessment year for which the matter relates. For example, in this case, the matter was relating to the assessment year 15-16, 16-17 and 17-18. So the notice of the department under section 148 should have been sent to the email address provided into the income tax return of assessment year 15-16, 16-17 and 17-18 respectively. The second rule says that if this email ID is not there or if it is not working, then the department has to send the notice to the email ID which is there in the latest income tax return filed. And even if the notice cannot be sent to this email ID, or if the notice is not going in this email ID for any reason, then the department should send the notice if the assessee is a company at the email address which is there on the MCA portal in the master data of the assessee. And if all these email IDs are not working, then the department has to issue the notice on the email ID which has been provided by the assessee to the department, like the assessee provides the email ID in the PAN card details which is there in my account details when we log in to the income tax portal. But in this case, the department has issued the notice under section 148 for all the three assessment years on an email ID which was there in the return of assessment year 13-14. When the department passed the assessment order under section 147 read with section 144, the assessee filed the writ petition on the plea that there was no valid service of notice because it has not been sent on the primary email ID, due to which I have not received the notice and the whole proceedings are time barred. So the whole proceedings are not as per law. In this case, the proceedings were not time barred, but due to non-service of notice at the valid email ID, the whole proceedings are void ab initio. It was the contention of the assessee that when the email ID which is there in the latest return filed by the assessee, then the department should not have issued the notice on the email ID which was there in the return of assessment year 13-14. So after hearing the whole submissions of the department and the assessee, the High Court concluded the matter in favor of the assessee and said that in this case, the notice sent by the department on the secondary email ID when there was primary email ID is not a valid service of notice. The court said that in these type of cases, the department should have sent the notice to both the email IDs, and there is no cost involved or any prejudice is there if the department issues the notice on both the email IDs. And the Bombay High Court cited its own judgment in the case of Mrs. Chitra Superkar versus ITO, which is reported in 453 ITR at page number 530, in which the court said that it is the duty of the department to check the email address or to check the latest address before sending any notice. And if there is no valid service of notice, and valid service of notice is a precondition for initiating any income tax proceedings for the assessee. So the High Court quashed the assessment order and said that the department can go for another notice if the law permits, if the time permits. So whatever the assessment orders were passed for the 3 years were quashed by the Honorable Bombay High Court. Friends, as all we know that in the last 2-3 years, a number of the cases have been given by the Bombay High Court which are really worth reading, and they give a very clear law on section 147, 148 proceedings. Thank you, friends.